Welcome to the Coils, Cash and Culture Show, where we sit down with creatives and entrepreneurs at the intersection of Black hair care and business. My name is Taisha Friday, and I'll be your host. After researching the Black hair care economy, I learned in some countries, Black consumers can spend up to 9 times more than their non-Black counterparts on hair care. Despite this unwavering demand, there is still room for innovation in the quality of goods and services available. Through Coils, Cash and Culture, we're going to get a bit closer to the creatives and the entrepreneurs creating new paths in the industry. Black hair is business, so let's get into it. Today, we are joined by Rashida. She is the founder and owner of Boombastic Braids, a professional braiding company based in London. Welcome to the show, Rashida.
Thank you for having me, Taisha.
It's a pleasure to have you. For anyone listening, Rashida and I go a bit way back. She's done my hair for a few years now when I lived in London. So it's like full circle to have you here on the show. For anyone that is firstly hearing about your business, can you share a bit more about yourself to start with and how you ended up getting into hair in the first place?
So I've always done hair. Hair's always been something that I've enjoyed doing. Done my friends and family's hair for years. But as a business, I just wanted to leave my 9 to 5 job. Just I was actually going to do food. Food was going to be my thing. I was going to try and create recipes to help Black women diet. So I have recipes with seasoning. Do you know what I mean? But then
I know what you mean. Exactly. A bit more than salt and pepper.
Exactly. But then my friend was saying to me, why don't you just do hair? You're really good at it. You can do your own hair. Find a way to kind of fit in around what you're doing at the moment. So that's exactly what I did. I did hair after work. And also I did hair sometimes on the weekend, but mainly it was after work and it was too late. Because sometimes, I don't know if I met you then, but I think I was doing it full time. But just before I met you, I was doing hair from 6 o'clock till 1 a.m. in the morning and then getting up to go to work for 8 a.m. Yeah, it was serious.
And you were doing this that would have been, I think you might have started doing my hair in, 2019. So maybe 2018, you would have been doing that before you went full time.
Yeah.
And then when did you decide to, make a jump? When did you feel, right, I want to do this full time. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And the reason I ask is because being an entrepreneur, there's so much uncertainty. So what was it where you were just like, this makes sense to do now full time?
I was around lots of people who were doing entrepreneurial things. At that time, I had one good close friend who was doing workshops with young people. My cousin, she also sold craft materials and also her own handmade jewelry. So I was always out and about in places with people who had businesses. And they also had 9 to 5s or they had children as well. And I thought, I could do this. There's no way I can't actually do this. Exactly. I'll be wasting my time if I couldn't do this. Yeah. So the first step was I had to book an appointment every day after work for a month. And then I knew I could leave work. So, and then that way I knew as well that I would have space in the afternoon. So I could use that time to promote my business more and reach more people. And it worked. It actually worked. Yeah. I just started, so I created an Instagram and I was always scared to have an Instagram, by the way. I know loads.
But you started with Instagram. So
yes.
Actually, this is, let's run through this because I think the question, even myself as someone who's never started a business I have is, where do you start? Do you write a business plan? Do you pick a name? Do you make a logo? In your case, what did you do?
Okay, right. So if we really want to go right back to there, right? So right, we'll go right back. So so when I knew I wanted to leave work, I needed a name for this business. I didn't know what to call it. And it kind of just came to me one day in my bed. And I had, like I said, I had a few friends who were doing businesses themselves. And I had a friend who is a graphic designer. So I told him the name and kind of a bit like what I wanted. It was a flyer that I wanted to create because I also had friends that would do markets. So I would go to those Black markets and hand out the flyers. That was the idea. So he created the flyer. Great. I went to the markets, found a few clients, not really many solid clients, but a few clients. And then once I kind of got maybe like a handful of clients, that's when I got the idea to go ahead and book in people have one client every day after work. And then from then it started to pick up. I then realized that I needed a price list. So, and I was still going out and about to these markets as well. So, from the simple basic flyer that just said Boombastic Braids, I offer box braids. It was twists, and I think Afro kinky twists at the time. There was no prices on there. It just kind of just said prices from and my phone number. And then the next one had like a full like grid that I created. That I created. And actually, I did that. So when I actually think about it, the timeline, I did that when I was still working because I would use all the resources at my workplace to create everything. Yeah, laminator, everything. I used up all the
Shout
materials.
out to Rashida's last employer. Thank, thank you for the indirect investment.
So we had that price list, and that price list actually it made it more official, and I realized people took me a bit more seriously because they could visually see what I was offering. Do you see what I'm saying? And also as well, I loved Nando's when I was younger. And yeah, and for one of my birthday's in March. And so I ate, and you remember they used to do the cards, and I think on the eighth time you come to restaurant, you get a free whole chicken. Aisha, I had like four left. Yeah, I ate Nando's every month so that on in March I'll get the free whole chicken. Right. So I thought, right, we're gonna do this because if you're moving like this just for a free chicken, I'm sure people move like this for braids. So I had loyalty cards. You had a loyalty card, didn't you?
Yeah, I remember
Yep.
you were the first.
Yep.
You were the first ever. You were truly the first ever person that ever did my hair that gave me a loyalty card, which
Yeah.
feels so. It makes so much sense,
Sense.
but it's interesting that you're the
Exactly.
first person to hand me that.
Exactly. And do you know what? This is just going forward, right? Because one thing that why I'm so happy I did it because I didn't realize that I'm gonna get good and I'm gonna have to increase my prices, and that actually helped my clients as well. Because as much as I was growing, I was still able to do price it where they could still get their discount. At one stage, I did have to tweak it, but it still worked. And now they're gone. I've worked out ways to, have an efficient business. But yeah, so I left work with that idea that I need an appointment every day after work. I did that for about, ooh, I think I did that for about it wasn't long, because it literally picked up. It picked up straight away because I was going to people's houses and then I would meet their mums, their cousins, their aunties. Do you understand? Exactly. So then everyone wants their hair done. And then that way I was able to build on my skill, develop my skill, learn new techniques. But I think we'll get into that a bit more later on, won't we?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? You touched on the fact you went mobile. For anyone listening, Rashida, while she's got a physical space, initially was mobile only. Can you talk a bit more about why you started mobile only? Because again, for me, just as a regular person paying what I would say was a regular price, the idea that you would come to my home felt a bit elite, to be honest, at the time. And this was pre-pandemic, before things started happening mobile and it became a thing. Why did you start mobile? What made you do that? And what was the benefit to the business?
Do you know, honestly, I just didn't want to do it in my house. And I wanted it to be, that's what I didn't want to do it in my house. And I wanted it to be separate from my home. And I wasn't thinking about having a space because a lot of people that know me know that I used to say, I'm not ever having a salon. I like the mobile thing. Do you know what I mean? I didn't mind doing it because I drove. And even with when it came to me driving as well, I was encouraged by my good sister to drive. So, and it gave me so much freedom, and I enjoyed the freedom of going up to people's houses and doing their hair. So I just thought, why not? Why not just do the mobile thing? It works, and because I'm very organized, so I had all my stuff with me. I knew exactly what I needed. And because I'm quite, people can see that I'm organized, they're happy for me to kind of make space in their home. And they like that. They like that they can sit in the comfort of their home. They can easily pop to the fridge, easily pop to the loo. They can wait in their house for their deliveries. They like that. Do you know what I mean? I was going to say the mobile thing. for me, I found it worked because I drove. If I didn't drive, I wouldn't consider doing it. There were sometimes I did it on public transport, because of maybe like the train line was easy to get to from my house. But and even that sometimes was a struggle. I've done it in the summer, and I thought I could wear sandals, and I broke my toenail going up the train stairs. Honestly, I've done so much. My case has actually broken along the way. Yeah, loads of things have happened to me. Even driving, someone crashed into my car, and funny enough, I've always had like lucky and great clients. The house that I was going to, my client's husband was, he does insurance, so he told me everything, what to
Oh,
go. Yeah, he
wow.
was like, I hope you got all her details, but I'm going to tell you more. You know,
It kind of helps to be mobile.
exactly.
And I guess you touched on, you mentioned that you're very organized,
Hmm.
and I mean, I could be biased, but I can say you're probably one of the most organized hairdressers I've ever been to, hairstylists. Um, Before we talk about marketing, because everyone thinks about how do you market your product or your service, can you talk about the priorities you set for the service you were going to provide in terms of being organized, a certain quality? Because I know that's important to you. Like, what did you prioritize based on your own experiences of having to go get your hair done in the past?
So in the past, I never really used to go to the hairdressers, honestly. I grew up, my parents are Rastafarian, so I grew up having locks, and it wasn't no locks with partings, you understand? So there was no, there was no, I didn't know exactly like what really went on in the hairdressers, but my experience, I'm a true believer in you're able to transfer your skills from one area to another. I used to work in the NHS, and one of the things I used to do is help different services improve their service through IT. So that was mainly through like appointment booking. So I understood. I did a lot with patient pathways, understanding the flow from the point of when from the referral to the end of the treatment. So it's important that people are seen, heard, and not just a tick box. And sometimes I think that with any service, we think we can forget that people are people, and people may have gone through bad experiences as well. So I wanted to make sure that the service that I run, my clients don't experience any bad experience, because I've heard bad experiences from hairdressers and from in the health service as well.
And it is a genuine challenge, and I think an issue in black hair
Hmm.
care. I think as someone who's regularly going and trying in different hairdressers, my natural expectation is this isn't going to start on time.
Hmm.
The price may
Hmm.
change, vary
Hmm.
depending on things that I don't even understand necessarily, or when I
Hmm.
get there. And then at the end of the day, it's also quite an investment. As an individual, we spend quite a lot on our hair. And so when you think about the experience that non-black consumers have when they can just walk into any salon pretty much, if they wanted to take care of their hair, I think that those things about punctuality, clarity on the booking process
Hmm.
is so important. And we know, I don't know if you must see it online, where a lot of the newer, younger hairstylists that are coming through are being very clear with their instructions.
Yes.
And also being met with criticism, right, by an older generation of like, this is too much, you expect too much. But actually, it's to make sure that service is better than what it
I'm
has
going to
been.
give you an example, right? And I'm going to go back to the health service, right? I'll never forget I was
Mm-hmm.
helping one service, and one of the things I used to do is read the letters, because, well, I won't get into the job, but basically I had to read the letters to make sure that they'll send out the right information. And one of the things that the NHS England wanted to add into the letters is how much it costs when people don't turn up to their appointments. And it's not, most people don't even read it, right? But when I read the text that they were adding to it, I was like, oh, okay, so we're just going to let people know that you're wasting time, wasting the doctor's time, wasting the admin people's time, because so again, it's not just the people that are servicing you, it's the people from the beginning, it's the people that booked the appointment, it's a whole line of people, right? And I totally agree with those girls that are putting out their terms and conditions, because it lets people know. And even myself, I do that. And again, it's attracted the right customer. It's attracted those customers who understand your time is precious. They understand as well that you're providing a service, and it's time, and it's braiding. Braiding is not something that takes an hour unless you're super, super fast. You can get some clients in and out, but it takes some time. Do you understand? So therefore, they know that you may want to see someone else. So I tell you, I've had people almost be in tears for running late because they know that I may have to see someone else and they're taking up my time. So put your terms and conditions out there. Make sure that they're clear. And also, as well, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to say it as it is, but also be nice. Don't scare people. Do not scare people.
I think that's very fair. I think consumers may feel bound to things, but I think hearing it from your perspective of actually there's just a complete knock-on effect if you were to make those allowances,
Yeah,
and it's actually to respect people's time
exactly.
is a view that I
Because as
haven't heard.
well, I think sometimes when you're running a service, I tend to not take it personally. It's not about me. It's a business at the end of the day. And we also want to respect the client's time. So just showing them what to expect is me respecting them. You understand? It's them seeing that I'm going to offer this and this is the expectation. Then by all means, say what you like, if I don't give you this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So switching gears a bit, you touched on it a little bit at the start and how you started to market the business.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a bit more about your approach to marketing, how it's evolved over time, what's working, what isn't working, as you've gone through the journey?
I'm going to be so honest with you, Taisha. It was all a
You
free.
don't have to
It
whisper.
was all a
You
freestyle.
don't have to whisper.
it it was all a freestyle. I'm very much a visual learner. I'm able to kind of like see what other people are doing and work it out, and work out what's good and what's working for them, and then kind of apply the same thing to me. So when I first started up with Instagram, so Instagram was like the main place that I was marketing, because simply they use pictures and videos, so people can see what the product is. And then you have the caption area to give a description of what you are selling, which is, I think is great. I think Instagram, I'm not really TikTok savvy, but Instagram for me worked great. So I started off just posting a few things. I had a few friends as well who had other businesses who kind of told me what I want to do, or what I should do. So at first they were like, oh, you ain't got much hair to post. So just post things in relation to hair and to the hair that you're doing, which caught an audience. And as time went on and I started to get more pictures, I started to use the sponsored ads. Now, it wasn't until after a few mistakes with the sponsored ads, I realized a kind of a bit of a routine. I'm going to tell people a little secret here. I don't know if it's going to work for everyone, but this is what I did. I thought, oh, people get paid towards the end of the month. Let's have these ads running from like the 20th to like to the 10th of the following month, because then that way they would see it and think, oh, let me get my hair done. There's some money sitting in my account. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how it worked. And also my perspective was as well. I didn't do a big ad, because I know with other products and using other platforms, you need to spend loads of money. But with Instagram, I thought, right, the booking site that I'm using, it costs me about $30 a month. If I spend about between 30 to like £60 on these ads, that's 2 appointments. I mean, well, that's about, yeah, because at the time my deposit was £30. Yeah. So that's about 2 appointments. Yeah. That's nothing really. Once I did it, Taisha, and I did that thing where I said I did it from the 20th to the 10th, it worked. People started to come. I had to like build more appointments on my booking site. Yeah, it really, really, really worked. Yeah.
That's so smart because I think I can only imagine. I mean, I have a full-time job and we're always considering all the different channels and all the things you should do, right? And so as a business owner, it probably can feel overwhelming where you start. So I think the fact that that was such a nuanced thought, but it made such a big difference is kind of like less is more. And I will say, now that you've said it, it's so funny. I got paid yesterday. This morning, the first thing I did was book to get my hair done.
See?
I was just like, actually, it makes sense. And it sounds crazy, but I really do it when I get paid.
It works.
And so for anyone out there who's thinking about timing, end of the month
Yeah,
always.
because some again, as you have to separate yourself from the business, but also you have to think like the consumer. Do you know what I mean? And think how they're going to spend. Anyone that knows me, I like to buy trainers. So I always have to be very tactful of how I'm going to go about this. Yeah, and I feel like it's the same thing when it comes to marketing as well. You got to think like your consumer.
Yeah. And is there anything that you look back on and think that was a waste of time and people should just know,
Mm,
like, because there's so much advice that almost
yeah.
sometimes it can be a bit overkill. So is there anything that like you kind of went down a rabbit hole on in terms of marketing and then realized this isn't a good use of my time as a business owner of a hair company?
Do you know what? I'm going to honestly say I could not think of anything at the moment. But one thing that I will say, which I feel that I've heard from a lot of people, um, they are scared to it's almost like they're scared to copy others. And it's not really copying others, it's more getting inspiration from other people and learning how to do things. Do not be afraid to follow another hairdresser you could learn technique from, learn business marketing ideas from, because that is what I did when I first got my Instagram. My friend, he does music, he was like, you need to follow all them American hair braiders that all your consumers are following. Yeah, all them customers, yeah, are following. Go and follow those pages, learn what they're doing, see how they're shooting their things from. Because again, he did music videos. He's like, look at what angles they are filming from. They're doing their photo shoots from, and also as well another thing. Do not be afraid to spend money when it comes to advertising and marketing, because some people say, oh, you may need influencers. I don't think for hair you need influencers. You just need to make sure your pictures are clear. People know exactly what they're coming for the terms and conditions that all the girls are doing, you know?
You know what? Your note on influencers as a consumer, and as someone I've just moved country, so I'm looking for new hairdressers. Actually, something that I've realized I look for more and more is someone with a portfolio with regular people that look like, to be honest, they have my budget. And I know that sounds insane because but what it is really, I want to see what the quality is going to be for me as a regular person, because naturally, actually, if you are using influencers, well, you're going to do a great job. I know that sounds
Exactly.
really ridiculous. That sounds a bit silly, but it's just making sure that they do the same standard when it comes to you.
Exactly. Because you've just made me think of, even as a business owner, right? I'm only growing and I'm getting older. So with my life is only growing. So therefore, I'm going to want more for my life as well. So my clients that I attract, we kind of like attract each other. Do you know what I mean? So when I was starting, and I'm going to talk about price a bit here. When I was starting, my prices were much cheaper, and I was attracting the clients at the time I was attracting the clients for my age group, because it's what I could afford. Do you understand? And as time's gone on, I've developed my skill, and I've also improved the business. I've given my clients more as well, so therefore the price has increased as well. And with that, I've attracted the clients that I need for me today. And there's certain clients that haven't grown and they've kind of fallen off. And I think that people, anyone that's running a business, should understand and respect that, and do not feel that when it comes to price increase, you need to do it because your life is growing. Do not feel guilty for your life growing. And you're self-employed. It's not like you're going to work and you're applying for a position, like a higher up position. You've got to find ways to improve the business, to improve yourself, you know?
I'm so glad you shared that. And I'm so glad that you place such an emphasis on price, because everyone's so concerned about marketing, but actually the price of your service is a huge part of like what your message looks like, how you appeal. And in terms of your point around growth, I remember when you put your prices up, because I remember you letting me know that they're going up. We had this conversation, and it is interesting that some folks can be bothered at the idea that eventually the price goes up, because it is just a normal cycle with just how the economy works and just inflation. But for anyone who is listening, don't be afraid to adjust your price as your service matures, because that's just life. And on
I like what you said there, as your service matures, because that is the truth.
and so people have to pay accordingly. And on the note of maturity, one thing you kind of mentioned was learning from others and other stylists, but I know you actually seeked out specifically a mentor when you were in your studio space. Can you share a bit more about why you decided you needed a mentor and how that's been for you and what you've gained?
Being in my studio space has allowed me to think bigger. I was never, like I said before, I only just wanted to do mobile appointments. So when I got my studio space, I started to think like, wow, I could actually sell things here, do all kinds of things here. And that is what I wanted to do. I was selling bonnets. I was selling products to maintain my clients' braids. So with that, I wanted to start selling them online. I was able to slowly build a store on Etsy, but I wanted my own website. And that I knew took time and effort. The reason why I sought out my mentor is because I wanted to also start doing courses and things online. But funny enough, she actually came to me because she is. So my mentor's not even from the same field as me. She's a teacher. But
Oh, wow,
yeah,
that's interesting.
she's a teacher, and she also, let me give you a bit of background. So she was teaching in school, and she decided she doesn't want to do this anymore. She'd rather supply resources. So that's what she does now. She creates resources for schools, teachers, and even people in their home, children and parents in their homes. And it's doing great. It's a subscription service. And that's where the world is going towards now. So she's like, all right, I want to she wants to expand. And I think her next step is to start teaching people how to do this. So I am the guinea pig. Yeah. And it's working. So I wanted to start doing courses on teach people how to do simple things. Like I've got clients who don't necessarily know even how to do part-ins, and they want to help their kids just to do like braids and twists, or even just to put their hair up in a ponytail. So to do classes on part-ins, single plaits, any kind of course, but to do them online and sell them as subscriptions. So that's why she came to me. But then I thought, hold up a minute, this is just more than just her coming to me. This is me actually as well, needing someone to guide me through the things that I want to execute. And just by talking to her, I was in a space for like 2 years where I wanted to do the online store, but just by meeting her, I was able to understand, Rashida, you cannot do this alone. I need to hire someone because she has someone. Yeah. And when I saw, and I've never even met this person that she has, but when she tells me what this person does for her and the weight that comes off her shoulders, I thought, yeah, this is what I need. So I hired someone. And again, Taisha, it was the best thing I ever done. The weight that came off my shoulders, seriously, it was just the best thing I could have ever done. And my mentor, is someone else in business. We don't work in the same fields, but we're able to talk about marketing. We're able to talk about, honestly, annoying customers. It's funny as well because she doesn't really like talking to people. And and a lot of the stuff is online. So her person that she actually hired them to talk to the people because she's like, I can't talk to these people. They're stressing me out. But it's not a bad thing.
Which
It's
isn't a
not.
bad thing. Like for anyone listening that thinks that, it's like everyone has.
I was just
You
going to
have
say,
to
your
know what your
strength.
strengths are.
Yes.
Like and
Yes.
what were the kind of things as you scaled that you started to realize, actually, I need to give this to someone else? What kind of things were you handling?
I was always good with basic IT. Well, I was a bit more advanced than other people because the things that I did with my booking site, not many people did with their booking site. So I was always good, but then could never build a website. So I knew I needed someone to come in and build the website. I started to fiddle around with it, but what the girl that I employed did for me, listen, there's no way I could do these things. Even I don't even know what to call them. Are they add-ons or extensions, like the banners and just the email? What's it called? See, I don't even know the fancy words. All that stuff, yeah. She got it working, basically. She got it working. Yeah. And if it wasn't for my mentor and her actually pushing me to tell me that you can't do it all yourself, you need to get people in to help you, you know? And Taisha, you don't even know. Like, just by doing that, it's helped me so much. It's made me even see like my ideas, any other ideas, made me realize that I can.
Well, you can think bigger.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have
Exactly.
the space to think bigger. And
Exactly.
something I feel really strongly about, and this is actually the reason why I've started the podcast, is I think it's easy to exist in this world and have a ceiling on what you can achieve
Mm-hmm.
or what is,
Mm-hmm.
because someone else has told you that's the ceiling. And that is the case for the black hair care industry, full stop. That's why we still need to see some improvements in services and products. And so the fact, I think something that anyone can take away from listening to this is, one, you can get a mentor with a completely different view of what you do, which is probably going to be really helpful because they're not limiting how they see what you do already with no assumptions. And three, freeing up time allows you to think bigger.
I was just going to say one other thing about my mentor, which I think really helped, is that she is a Black woman. And where the space that I rented, they offered mentors to me, and they weren't really helping me. And I simply feel because they didn't understand what I was what I was doing. So therefore, the ideas that they even brought to me, I was like, this is not going to work. I didn't understand. They didn't understand me. I didn't understand what they were saying. Whereas my friend, who's my mentor, she's a mother and she has kids and she can't do hair. So I am exactly. So
You're solving her problem.
thank you. So talking to her really helps me push to do what I want to do and execute. Like those workshops, they will be for her. Do you know what I mean? Those courses, they will be for her. And when we can talk about even like the ideas that I have, she's like, no, that's not going to work. I wouldn't do that. And that's good because I need her opinion. Do you know what I mean? She would be my customer. Yeah.
And I guess actually one thing you've just made me think of, and I want to make sure I share it so I don't forget. You know, it would be really cool. And I think I would pay for this. I'm very good at looking after my braids and my hair after it's done. Like, I just know
Mm-hmm.
I know I've got about 2 weeks
You
until
are.
I look like I need them redoing, right? So one thing I definitely would pay for, if someone said to me $5-10 more to get an extra 10 minutes on my appointment, or 5 minutes where you would walk me through like the aftercare, that is something that I would probably add on to the appointment. Just an
You know
idea.
what? You give me a little idea. You give me a little idea, girl. Give me an
Yeah.
idea. Because,
I'm wherever I can
yeah.
help, but I would actually pay for that because yeah, my braids turn into locks very quickly
Because
in
even when I
terms of
look
the
at
root.
other hair services, I have a client who she does amazing natural hair care. Her name is Sabrina Kidd. I'm shouting her out. Sabrina Kidd is the best natural hair care lady out there. But yes, when I hear about what she does, so we share clients. So she's referred clients onto me. And when they talk about her service and what she offers, her service is more on the pricier side. Not all my clients could afford her service, right? But when her clients talk about her service, she's not just doing your hair, she's giving you a whole what you're looking for. She gives you the before care, the in between what she's doing, and the aftercare. She's even telling you, and like myself, I'll tell you about the whole process as well. But she's been doing natural hair for years and she does all textures. I shouldn't just say does afro hair. She does all textures of hair. So what she's actually giving you is more of a hair therapy session. Do you feel what I'm saying?
Which is interesting because someone might argue, oh, well, if you teach someone how to do their hair, at some point they stop coming
Oh
back. But
no,
actually,
no. They come.
you bring them on the journey because
Yes.
now they want to get better.
Yes.
They're really into it
Yes.
because they're like, wait a minute, I can maintain it. So let's do this together.
Exactly. Exactly. And to be quite honest, when we go back to value for money, right? If you pay that bit more and you get the knowledge to look after your hair whilst at home, you don't need to go back there so often. Do you understand? You mainly only go back there for like your treatments and your cuts. Do you see what I'm saying? But in between that, you can maintain your hair. You'll learn how to wash your hair. You'll know what products to use. If you want to use a dryer, she'll just teach you so much. Like there's just so much more.
And then she gets loyalty. She gets the loyalty because people appreciate that they are only able to do that because of her. And so we've talked about you opening up different revenue streams for the business since you got in the studio space. I would love to hear a bit more about kind of other things you're doing. And so I know you do celebrity styling. Can we talk a little bit about that? How's that been? How do you find the time to do that on top of running the business?
So I only have one celebrity client. And I've been
One
lucky.
only now, just one at the moment, one at
Just
the moment.
one at the moment. And you know what? I've never actually met any like celebrity, like high profile, like that before. So yeah, I only have Miss Janet Jackson as my celebrity client. They reached out to me, and again, I feel like the universe just worked in its way. Um, I just kind of how I promote myself is I just really promote what exactly I'm good at and how long I've been doing it for, and how long it's gonna take and how long it's gonna last. Yeah. And that's what basically they saw and they really liked. So that's why they reached out to me. And going back to the terms and conditions, they liked how, they were all clear and they could see exactly what I was offering. What exactly was your question again?
No, but you know what? What I was saying is just how's that been? But one thing you flagged is, again, sorry to talk about these instructions from like all the stylists that are popping up in this day and age, but we've heard it here directly that those instructions do help
Yeah,
because
they
people
help.
do need clarity, especially
Yeah.
new people, irrespective of whether you consider yourself a regular person or you are a celebrity.
The fact, I'll tell you even a secret. I normally work Tuesday to Sunday, but that Sunday when they contacted me, I was off. And they had sent me an email. I looked at my emails. I wasn't even going to bother. And there was no mention of who the person was. But on my booking site, it actually says that I don't work on Mondays. But if you do want me to work on Mondays, you need to contact me and we can work something out. And that's what they did. So again, being clear and transparent really pays off because they could have contacted anyone else. But because they knew I was available the next day is why they contacted me.
For being accessible, you're just being completely transparent about also when you're not available makes people know that actually, but you could be available for a certain price because you're now not in the studio.
Exactly.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah. It's been great. I've been able to, so because it's just me, that's the main hairdresser in my salon, because it's a small studio salon. I just just shut the salon down for the day and go and see my client. But there hasn't been many days where I've had to clash with other clients. But if there has been that, then what I've learned, so this has been interesting. Again, celebrity pricing, we can be very honest and transparent about this. At first, the price was much lower than what it is now because I didn't know what I was doing. But then where there will be days where what if days? What if I have to cancel my clients? And what if I am not able to reschedule those clients back in because I am a hairstylist who is fully booked a month in advance? So there may not be any space to put these people back in. So therefore, the price has to cover that what if. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm happy. Again, I'm happy to go. I'm happy to serve you. It's also taught me patience. That's one thing it's taught me. It's taught me because of the difference in price and the difference in experience, to be more patient with my client. I'm a very fast braider. Most styles that people do in like 6 hours, I will do in like 3 to 4 hours. And that's another reason why Janet loves the service. But me being a fast braider, I may sometimes, the comb might slip and drop on the table. The comb might, something might happen. But being with her, no, you need to be patient, Rashida. You better part her hair like this,
Yeah,
and take your time.
absolutely. I am under no illusion
Do you know what I
that
mean?
Janet Jackson gets better braids than me, and I'm okay with that, Rashida. I'm not offended. I understand she's obviously like done
No,
quite
but
a bit of stuff,
it's because, like I said, it's taught me a lot. It's not just doing her hair; it's being around her.
It's a different environment and it's a different professional setup. Who would you because we're manifesting, because we always manifest, and we're not even manifest, we just make stuff happen. Who would you love to do braids for?
Do you know what? I've never actually thought about this.
If I could call them right now and say, hey, I've found your new hairstylist, who would you love to do braids for?
If Erica would let me do her hair, Erica Badu, that would be great.
Okay.
That would be great. Make a nice blend because her hair's that gingery color, and I like to blend up. Yeah, that would be great. There's no one else really.
Okay.
There's no one.
Okay, cool. I will I can't call her, but I will keep my fingers and toes crossed, and I have no doubt that that is going to happen one day in the future,
I hope
whether
so.
you're going to where she is or she's in the UK. Because I think if honestly, I think if you think about something hard enough and you work towards that, it eventually, the world is small and it will come round full circle. So before we kind of wrap up, I kind of always want to talk about the future and what's next with anyone on the show. Um, what's next for you? What are you looking forward to with Boombastic Braids?
So at the moment, I am not in a salon. I left my salon space. The space that I was in, it was a great scheme actually. It's for 18 to 30-year-olds to start up their businesses. You get the space for 2 years. So my 2 years up is over now. And now I'm actually moving to a shop front. So I've got a shop. I found a shop. I am going through the solicitors.
Whoa!
Yeah, you see how I'm kind of.
This is
it's
big.
a
This is
whole
big
thing.
again. People who've been following, this is big. Like I, it feels like so long ago, but it was really not that long ago that you were in my flat and like the world was different, and now it's just like a whole shop.
Yeah, yeah. And again, if it wasn't when the world was different, when we was in lockdown, I would have never got the previous salon that I was in. I wasn't thinking like that. I was just looking on the internet and I found some space and I thought, oh, let's go and take this. So now that I've got this shop, it's another big task. So it's a bit daunting. Because I've never used a
Changes.
solicitor. Yeah, I've never used a solicitors before and stuff like that. So it's been interesting. But I'm excited. I'm excited to buy the furniture. Excited to kit out my space again. Yeah.
Any tips for anyone? Anyone tips for anyone who's going to get a space? What have you learned?
Do you know what? Honestly, just don't be afraid to ask questions. That is one of my things, I think, for anything in life. But do not be afraid to ask questions. I don't know anything about a shop front. I've had to ask. I'm lucky enough to have clients who are hairstylists too, who have their own spaces, so I'm able to ask them for advice. Um, Thinking, don't be in a rush to just get anywhere because we know that the climate we live in now, prices are just up and down, up and down, up and down. So when it came to looking for a space, I wasn't just going to grab the first thing that was available because the first shop that was available wasn't the best shop for me. If I didn't, again, I'm lucky enough to have builders in my life. So I showed them the pictures and they were like, this is a lot of work. It was a derelict shop. It was mash up basically. And there was so much work that would have been, I would have had to do. But the shop that I found now that I'm going with, it is clean. It wasn't estate agents. They wasn't doing their business wasn't doing great. So they abandoned their business. So the shop is just still brand new. Basically, I just got the landlord's got to get rid of their furniture. Um, so yeah, and even throughout the whole negotiation stage, I've spoken to so much people. That's been able to advise me on what I should do and what not to do. So yeah, ask questions. And even if you sound silly, ask the question because this is not your area where you would know things. Do you know what I mean? It's like when clients ask me some questions, I'm thinking, why the hell did they not know that? They're not no hairdresser. So do you know what
Yeah,
I
and so that's good advice. I think it can be easy just to want to or think you need to know everything, but take all
exactly.
the help you know. You can get take all the help you can get in areas that aren't your expertise. No one's expecting you to know. Okay, cool. Well, before we end today's conversation, one thing I love to do with every guest is do a quick fire round of 5 questions. What that means is just answer the question with like the first answer that comes to your mind.
Okay, here we go.
Let's start with something easy. What's your favorite braid style to do?
Do you know what this hair? I love kinky twists, Afro kinky twists. This is my favorite, one of my favorites.
Okay. Um, you've talked a lot about asking for help and taking advice where you can. If you could sit down and have dinner with one person for an hour to get some business advice on bombastic braids, who would it be and why?
Mm. Charlotte Mentor. Now, the reason why I say that is because this previous studio salon space that I had, I always wanted it to represent Black women. And I wanted, when Black women walked into my space, I wanted them to feel like this is for them. Um, and I never heard of Charlotte Mensa before 2018. I never heard of her before. The reason why I heard of her is because I was at Carnival and her shop is on Ladbroke Grove and I needed to go toilet. And I refuse to go toilet in people's houses and use them Portaloo things. I'm not doing
Yeah.
that. So her shop said they will toilet £2 and they're selling jollof rice. My
Oh,
kind of base,
wow.
you understand? So that is where I'll be going to the toilet. When I saw this salon, Taisha, yeah, and the artwork on the walls,
He felt seen.
I'd never seen anything like this. But yeah, I felt seen, but I felt like this is what I needed to see. I'd never seen a hair salon that looked so beautiful. Hair salons just look like, just chaka and just holy patings inside of it. Yeah. I wasn't into that. Look professional. It looked clean. Everything looked nice. You understand? So when I left Carnival, I did some research into who she was, and I found out that she's like some renowned hairdresser. Yeah, I didn't know anything about it, and that's another thing as well because I think again my naivety because I'd never gone to hairdressers before. I don't know much about hairdressers, so it was the first time I looked into like a hairdresser who is actually she's known everywhere. I didn't know about anything about this lady, but yeah, going to her space and seeing that really inspired me to want Black women to be seen when they come into my space. You know?
Cool. I'm gonna take it as an action because I know who Charlotte Mensa is. I come back to London in May. I'm gonna go to the shop. I'm just gonna walk in just to have that feeling.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been there, so I'll do that. Next question. What's the one hair product you couldn't live without? Only one. You're on a desert island.
Can I just say it's not really a product? My headscarf. As much as like I gotta be so honest with you, yeah. That's the truth. I would rather, yeah. And it sounds bad, yeah. You must take care of your natural hair and all them thing there, yeah. But here what, yeah. I'd rather put my headscarf on and just go about my business. Seriously, that is
Headscarf it is. Headscarf it is. What song are you listening to on repeat right now? You can pull your phone up if you need to.
No, I'll just tell you, I think it's from the 90s. The song is called Shy Guy. It's by Diana King. It's like where's she from? It's giving dancehall vibes. Yeah. I remember it from when I was younger. I'm very much an old school. I like to listen to old music, but the song is very much a woman empowerment, skin out your business kind of song, you know?
Okay, cool. Well, you know what? Summer is upon us.
Exactly.
So what I'm doing at the end of all the interviews for the first series is we're going to pull together a playlist of what people are listening to. So we're going to add that on.
Trust me. If people haven't heard it before, yeah, they're going to hear the lyrics and they're going to feel it. Trust me.
They're going to feel it. Okay. And then last question, which is, I think, the most important question. What are you grateful for right now?
I'm just grateful that I'm breathing. I know it's going to sound silly, right? But no, seriously. I have really bad anxiety when it comes to not knowing what's happening. So, like I said to you, I'm no solicitor and I'm no commercial landlord. So, I don't actually know this process. So, a part of me, when I was leaving my old space and knowing that I'm moving to the new space, there's going to be a gap. And sometimes you feel like when you're not knowing, you feel like, oh, am I going to die? Am I going to be able to eat? Is all my money going to disappear? So that's why I just say, just be able to breathe and live. That's what I give thanks for. Because I felt like this when I left my job as well. When I had appointments booked in the evening and nothing going on during the day, I kept saying to myself, am I going to die? Am I not going to be able to eat? But that's how you think. When you haven't got a full-time 9 to 5 where you know that your salary is dropping every month, you kind of just think like, what's going to happen to you, you know? But I give thanks that I've put a plan in place from now to when I move into the shop that I'll be fine, you know? And even if I don't go to work, I'll be fine. Like, I don't need to work every day.
You will be fine. And the reason I asked that question is because I have different guests. So I have guests on the show that I don't know, and I have guests that I have known for a few years. But one thing that I just want to make sure everyone always leaves with is just like the feeling of like, look what you've done. Like, I know that you are busy and I know you're always working, but I'm inspired. I was inspired from the first time I met you. And so I'm really grateful that you've come on the show. Thank you for being here.
And I was going to say thank you for having me, Taisha, because I was going to say you can't end this here, right? Because I have to say this, yeah. For anyone that is listening, yeah, Taisha has been one of my most inspirational clients, honestly. She has a massive heart and a massive drive. The fact that you have left your hometown to move to another, let's talk about the London that this is, but move to London, and then now you've moved clean to the other side of the world, like that is aspirational goals, girl. Seriously, all the things that you've achieved in your work, all the stuff that we've spoken about, I commend you for being so strong. And you're such a fighter. You're gonna make me cry. I'm such a crybaby. No, seriously. I'm so proud of you, Taisha. You honestly, I'm crying. No, seriously. There's people like you. I'm so fortunate as well to have such great clients who do things that. There's jobs out there that I didn't even know were out there. Do you know what I mean? And to meet you guys who are doing them inspires me to push further. So thank you so much. Thank you. I'm sorry for crying.
Always. No, you know what? This is a really full circle moment because I do think both of us are seeing the fruition of like our work and labor over the past few years. And I think one thing I've taken from you and kind of the reason I started Cause Cash and Culture is that one thing that rings true for every entrepreneur that I'm meeting is you're so focused on the customer and the work. And so for me, as someone who has a full-time job where I think often people can say, it's not your company, so why do you care? Is one thing I try to bring through my experiences with my work is how do I never lose sight of like the customer that I'm trying to serve? It might not be like my business that I started. If you're going to spend 5 days a week, every day, more time away from your family on this, it should matter. So you caring makes me care. So thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And for anyone who wants to find you, wants to book an appointment or see how good your work is, where can they find you?
At Boombastic Braids on Instagram. Boombastic's with 2 O's. I'm on TikTok, Boombastic Braids UK. I think the TikTok is. And also www.boombasticbraids.com. Yeah.
Cool. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this conversation, follow us to find out when the next episode is out. And if you really, really enjoyed this conversation, maybe send a link to a friend. And if you really, really, really enjoyed this conversation, head to coilscashculture.com to sign up to our mailing list today. Stay well, keep smiling.